Let's go to Noah here. Noah is next. Hello.
Hey Bart, how's it
How's
going?
it going? You got a hand for us here, Noah?
Yes, 2-2 at Best Bet Jacksonville.
One of my favorite places to play. Best Bet Jacksonville. Now, I always say, and we always read in the comments, I say, and when when people subscribe to Crush Live Poker, if they get on our Discord, which we always suggest, it's a great benefit to the site. People actually personally DM me. I add them as subscribers, so I like to talk to everybody coming on. And if anyone ever says that they're from Jacksonville, I'm always like, oh, that's the best $5 blind games in the country. Every time I watch that Jacksonville Best Bet live stream, and I've done a bunch of small stakes videos. Like we have one on the YouTube right now that's pinned. Like when you first come on, it doesn't look like anything's changed. But then people in the comments will come and be like, "Oh, the games aren't as good as the live stream." But I don't know. Every single time I watch that thing, I am absolutely amazed. It just seems like they're really good games there.
I had a couple of my friends that I went with play on the weekend 2-5 deep stream, and it was certainly fun to watch.
Yeah. So this is what, a 500 max or something?
300 max,
No, 300 max. Okay. So 2-2, 300 max. Okay.
seven-handed, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm 550 effective.
Okay. So 550 effective. Okay.
So I'm in the cutoff with ace nine of hearts,
Okay.
two limps to me, and I open to 14.
So two limpers and hero to 14. What's the standard like open size if there's no limpers usually? Is it to like 10?
So yeah, I was trying to go 10 plus a big blind per limper. Looking back, seeing how the table played out after this, I think I probably should have gone bigger to maybe like 20,
Mm.
but hindsight.
So you go to 14. Okay.
Yeah. So the button flats, he has me covered.
Okay.
Under the gun calls as well. And then middle position goes all in for 70.
Oh, I remember this one. We get into these situations because, so just right off the bat here, and you'll get into way more situations dealing with all ins and how you play side pots and main pots in small stakes than you do like at 2-5 or 10 or at 5-10 because of the fact
Yeah.
that people are going all in, right? They're just going to go all in so much. You'll get into these situations. So a couple limps, hero goes 14 with ace nine of hearts, button calls, under the gun calls. Now MP is all in here for 70. Obviously, this is a great spot though for you, especially when the guy is the second limper. This is like dead money. There's a bunch of free money out there. None of the, I mean, you have to put in the extra raise, and you're probably flipping, but you gotta put in the four bet here.
Yep. So that's exactly what I was thinking. I was
Okay.
just thinking about a good ISO size.
Mm-hmm.
I figured it, would be around, I guess, a min click just because the 70 is like pretty big relative to my open.
Yeah, you could make it like
Um,
one. Well, I mean, you could make it as small as 125, probably, right? 126, because he's only raising 56. But yeah, you make it 130, 135, something like that.
yeah, definitely. So I'm thinking about basically a min raise. So I'm just kind of, it's going through my head. I'm ready to kind of put out the bet. And as the action is on me, middle position ends up like flipping over his hand. Like I'm literally counting out chips to push over the line and he flips
Mm-hmm.
over his hand.
And it's King Five
Um,
offsuit, right? From what I
yes, it
remember.
is King 5 offsuit.
So
Um,
you haven't done anything, and MP exposes King Five offsuit.
yes.
Okay. Well, that still isn't going to stop me from four betting.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
I guess my one worry is that my ISO is going to seem a bit more wide, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I knew that one of the limpers was good enough to pick up on this. I guess I can go a little bit into my thought process here. I guess I was wondering if I can ever go any bigger now knowing that the rest of
Well,
the table knows his hand.
this is a very interesting, this is not a common spot, but the more I think about this, I didn't think about it the way that you said, but it makes perfect sense, right? Like we knew you were going to four bet anyways. But now that this guy has exposed his hand, the other players might think that you're just trying to like pick on the fact that he has crap, right?
Yeah,
That,
exactly.
he's got King Five and you're just trying to ISO. So we always talk about in Crush Live Poker a pre-flop threshold where, the theory would go where if you make a raise where you are going to call an all in because you're committing yourself to the pot because of pot size, the theory would say then you're supposed to just move all in. And it might, for what you're trying to accomplish in this particular hand, you might want to just move all in, because here's the issue. If you go 135 and then like the button comes back over the top and jams on you, I would have a really, really hard time folding. I mean, you're going to be in for 135. I mean, the pot's going to be like, you're going to be getting over 2-1 for sure. And it's just going to be just the weirdest thing ever in the world. The thing about that, though, is that you would rather have the folds. Like, even if you said, okay, well, I'm going to go 135 and then I'm going to call off, right? But ace nine isn't going to be that much ahead of what they're shoving, even if you're ahead, right? Like, it's not going to be that much of a favorite with whatever they're shoving with. Like, say the guy shoves with 6s or 7s. So with the properties of your hand, you actually just want them to fold. So, I mean, I don't know if you thought of that, like if it went 135 and then somebody jammed on you, if you had sort of thought ahead of what would I do because of this whole dynamic?
Yeah, I didn't, in the moment, I didn't really think that I was going to get jammed on by either of the limpers. I guess I was just kind of worrying about getting, I guess, double flatted in a sense. I was thinking I could have gone bigger, but I did end up deciding to basically min click. So I 4-bet to 145.
All right, so hero to 145. But you see what I'm saying, right? Like, if you get, you just put 145 of 550 and like you have 400 left. But I mean, if somebody comes back over the top and jams on you, you're easily going to get over 2-1 here. So hero goes to 145 as a 4-bet. Okay.
And then button next to acts, flats. And then just a little background on the button. It's a very passive table apart from him. And he was 3-betting a couple opens as well. I guess I can't say if it's more than normal, but I definitely noticed he was like flatting and V-pipping like noticeably higher.
Josh Shepard in the live chat says, see, this is the worst case scenario. It's something that we actually washed over here too. I was talking about inducing some sort of ridiculous play, but now you're actually getting called from out of position, which is why I picked this hand, actually. I mean, the preflop is interesting because of this dynamic, but then it sort of lends itself because obviously we're going to go post-flop where you're going to have like a main pot and a side pot, and then it sets up much, much differently than a normal situation. So just to repeat the act, I assume the other guy folds. Is that right? The other limper? Yeah, the limper's fold. All right. So I'm just going to repeat the action here because it was a little bit, it's just a little bit complex. So 550 effective. And there's 2 limpers. Hero goes to 14 with ace of hearts, 9 of hearts in the cutoff. The button calls. Under the gun calls. And then the second limper. Limp re-raises all in for 70, which opens the raising back up, of course, because it's more than a raise. But then he exposes his hand before you do anything. It's on you, and he exposes king 5 offsuit. You were going to 4-bet, and you still 4-bet. You 4-bet to 145. The button double flats, or whatever you want to call it. He called your raise, and now he's calling 4-bets cold. The other limpers fold. So you and the button put in 290. This other guy put in 70. The pot is probably in total something like 370.
I had 210 in the main and 150 in the side.
210 in the main and then 190.
210 in the main and 150 in the side, plus or minus rake.
Yep, you got it. Yeah, there we go. Okay. That's right. So 210 in the main, 150 on the side. Okay. Now you're out of position. What's the flop?
Yep. Flop is jack of diamonds, 7 of diamonds, 3 of spades.
Jack of diamonds, 7 of diamonds, jack of diamonds, 7 of diamonds, 3 of spades. And hero has ace of hearts, 9 of hearts. So you whiff pretty, I mean, you kind of whiff pretty hard here.
Yeah. So versus, I guess, what I considered to be, I guess, a pretty weak range that the button is holding, I go 1/4 out of position, so I go 85.
Hero bets 85. Yeah, these ones are really, really complex because it's not like you're betting directly. And also, here's the other thing about this hand is that we always talk about, well, you have to beat this guy and the MP guy that's all in. Well, you're beating the MP guy that all to beat. You know exactly what he has. You have perfect information, right? He has king 5 offsuit. The MP guy has king 5 offsuit. Now, the other guy also knows that the MP guy has king 5 offsuit. So I think in this particular spot, you almost, I guess it kind of sets up like almost like a normal hand because of the fact that everybody knows what the MP has, right? I mean, and the other sort of interesting thing of note here it doesn't seem like you're going to have a ton of stacked up anyways. If this guy continues, is like what ends up happening if, the turn comes like a 5, or what if the flop contains like a 5 or a king where both players know that you're both behind, right, to the mid position guy who's going to win the main, but there's still a side pot though to win in the form of like 150. So, I mean, I guess this kind of sets up like a normal type of hand. Now you bet 85 here. So if you get called, you've sort of built a side pot up here to, what will be it will be 320 on the side, 210 in the main, and you guys will have only about 300 left, right? After
I had 320 left.
Yeah.
After this, basically.
So hero bets 85 and the guy calls.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is.
I guess I figured that he would raise off, I guess, like thick value here. Like if he backed into 7s or 3s, just to kind of get it in against my value, which is like likely overpairs here.
I mean, the other thing too of note is like what are you trying to fold out? Like better ace highs? Ace 10 would be the only one. I mean, pocket 4 is going to fold? I mean, that's the only thing, like, because you go so small. And again, what's really very, very interesting about this hand is that if nobody knows what MP has, because MP hasn't exposed their hand, and you bet, and the guy on the button has 4-4, he's probably supposed to fold because he's got to beat you and the other guy. But you both know what MP has. That's why I say it sets up like kind of like a normal, the weird situation,
Yeah, I mean, this whole time I was kind of just treating this, I guess, as a normal pot-ish, just because we both know exactly where we're at. So like,
well, you know how you're doing against the other guy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So side pot is 320, main pot continues to be 210, and you have about 325 left, right?
Yeah. So I figured that like I wanted to kind of do a 2 street, and because I'm bluffing here, I was thinking if maybe if some overs come or if I pick up a straight draw, I can get it in and know that I'm not dead if I do get called. And the turn is a straightening card. It's the 8 of hearts.
So it's Jack 7-3, turns an 8. So you pick up a gut shot here to a 10.
Mm-hmm.
And you have 325 left. The total pot size is 530. There's 320 on the side, 210 in the main, but you are ahead of the guy, one of the players that's in the main, because you know exactly what he has in the form of King 5. So I guess now what you're saying is that if you jam, your line might look so strong that you're going to get him to fold out like 7x, 8x, or any pair like 6s that he peeled here with on the flop or something like that.
Yeah, I figured that with this line, he probably has to fold out everything less than top pair.
Mm-hmm.
And additionally, I like to think that he would 3-bet ace jack at some frequency to my kind of open.
That's 2-2 though. I don't know if you can go down that assumption. I mean, maybe once in a while. This is a really, really strange one. It's very, very unorthodox, but it's kind of cool because it just doesn't come up that much. I guess I can get on board with it. I mean, you really are showing a fair amount of strength, although we do go back to the fact though that because the other guy's hand is exposed, this isn't really all that much different from if he wasn't in the hand, besides the extra dead money out there. So I guess my question would be, would you make this play if you set up the stack sizes here, like in a multi-bet scenario? Say you were in a 4-bet pot, like you cold 4-bet somebody with like ace 9, you know what I'm saying? Or something like that. And then you bet flop, which you're supposed to do almost all the time in a 4-bet pot, and you call, turns an 8. Now you're left with like, 66% SPR, and you pick up a gut shot. Would you make this play? Would you make this play thinking that you'd be able to get this one through, Yeah,
that's a good question. I guess the only thing that's different is just the fact that he's double flatting wider. I guess that was the thing I was zeroing in on because of the whole exposed hand fiasco.
I don't know how often this one is going to get through. Again, I just keep going back to the fact that you guys both have that information. So I don't know if that changes anything besides the fact that the pot has more money in it. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So, I mean, if he was going to call you with like pocket tens, pocket nines, if he doesn't believe you with like pocket sixes, the fact that there's another guy in the hand doesn't really change anything, except for the fact that he might accidentally lose if the other guy hits like an overcard. I mean, that's a very, very small consideration. So did you
Mm.
go for it?
Yeah, I ended up jamming.
So here are jams for
So
325,
320 ish, yeah.
320. Okay. Uh-huh.
And I do get it through button, smiles, looks at me once or twice and folds.
Nice. What did you have? Did he tell you what you?
He had 4-4, yeah.
4-4. Well, I mean, that's one of the one. I mean, 4-4-5-5, which of course is blocked by the king five, right? 6-6. You have ace nine, so the less combos of that, and you would start to think, yeah, some of those hands would be three bet off, right? I mean, we sort of washed over it. Like if you think that he is, it's probably worth going back to note. When you go to 145, what is it? What does the preflop range look like here from the button? In terms of like, is a pair more often going to be represented calling 14 and then calling a min click four bet like fours through sixes, then say like queen jack offsuit or like jack 10 suited? Maybe. I mean, we kind of washed over that, but even though he's nowhere near deep enough to set mine, right?
Yeah,
So did you dodge the guy at the end?
I did.
Uh,
The river was a 10,
oh, okay.
so I guess I would have been bailed out anyway.
Oh, you made it straight.
Yeah, and I won versus king five.
That's pretty crazy. That's a really interesting one, Noah. Live dynamics. Thanks very much for the call.